Hi, it's Meagan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 different breakfast recipes. We're going to be making sausage McGriddle bites, egg muffins, protein breakfast cookies, refrigerator brand muffins, and apple cinnamon breakfast cookies. Okay, here's what you need for the McGriddle bites. You are going to need 1 pound of cooked and crumbled sausage, 2 cups of a pancake mix. I'm using just some Bisquick, 1.5 cups of milk. The original recipe calls for water, but I'm going to substitute it for milk today, and 1/4 cup of maple syrup, and then 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. So here I am just putting all of my ground sausage into my bowl, and then I'm adding my Bisquick and my cheese, as well as my milk and maple syrup, and then I'm just going to stir that all around until I get a good batter. Once it's all mixed together, I'm going to scoop it into just my mini muffin tins. These made really, really good bite-size muffins for my family to have for breakfast, and I just used my 1 tablespoon cookie scoop to scoop them into the muffin tins. They worked really, really well. And it's a good portion to fill up these mini muffins. Then I just popped them into the oven, and here's what they looked like when they came out. The recipe for this will be down in the description box, as well as all of the other recipes for today. To make the egg muffins or the egg bites, basically the recipe is super flexible. I'm going to make about a dozen today, and to do that I'm going to need 9 eggs plus a little splash of milk. And then from there, you can add whatever seasonings or toppings that you like. Today I'm going to be doing bacon crumbles with cheese. And then for my seasonings, I'm going to use some onion powder, and I'm going to top them with some everything but the bagel seasoning. And other things that are good in this are sausage or spinach, onions, and bell peppers are also really good. This is just what I have on hand today, so that's how I'm going to make them. So to make these, I like to make them in something that has a spout on it. That just makes it a lot easier to pour into our muffin tin when it comes time to cook them. Now you're just going to whisk these together. You can use an electric whisk. I have a hand blender. You're just going to add a little bit of milk, less than 1/4 cup for sure. Just a couple little drops just to help make it a little bit creamier. And then you can just whisk it up however you want. You can use the regular whisk, an immersion blender, an electric one. I'm just going to use this hand blender that I like to use for eggs. Great, so this is nice and fluffy and foamy. Next I'm going to add just a little bit of onion powder. You can also add salt and pepper, but there is salt and pepper in the everything but the bagel seasoning that I'm going to be using, so I'm not going to add any right now. Okay, now I'm just going to prepare my muffin pan. I really like to use these silicone muffin liners. The eggs pop out of them pretty easily, and they're a lot easier to clean than if egg gets stuck on this muffin tin. Okay, I also like to spray them just to really ensure that everything pops out nicely. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put your toppings in first, and then you're going to slowly pour the egg mixture over the toppings. So I'm going to start by just putting a little bit of bacon crumbles on the bottom of each, and then I'm going to put on top of that some cheese. Okay, now I'm just going to pour my egg mixture into them. I want to give a little bit of room at the top because they will fluff up quite a bit. You don't want to fill them too full. And these will last in your fridge for up to a week, and they also freeze really well too. So if you want to freeze them, once they're cool, you just pop them in a freezer bag and then pull out a few the night before you want to eat them and just let them thaw in the fridge. And then in the morning, they'll be thawed enough that you can just pop them in the microwave for a little bit to reheat them up. If you want them to stay moist and fluffy, you can reheat them in a paper towel, and that will just help to keep the moisture inside. Okay, and I'm just a little bit short, so I'm gonna whip up another egg or 2 to fill in the last of these. So I got all of these filled. Like I said, this recipe is very flexible. So today it took about 10 eggs. Some days it takes 12, some days it takes 9. It's pretty easy and flexible. If you ever have any leftover egg mixture, you can always just scramble it and have that for a quick snack. But I'm going to pop these in a 400-degree oven, and I'm going to cook them for 13 to 15 minutes until they are set in the middle. Okay, here's what the egg muffins look like right out of the oven. They've poofed up quite a bit, and they will start to sink. That's totally normal. So we'll get those onto a cooling rack and let them cool before we put them away in the fridge. You're going to need 3 cups of oats, 1 cup of applesauce, 1 cup of peanut butter, 1/4 cup each of chia seeds, It also calls for ground flaxseed, but I'm going to substitute that for some peanut butter powder. 1/4 cup of maple syrup or honey, and a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a teaspoon of vanilla. So here I am adding my oats to my bowl. I only had a 1/3 measuring cup. That's just what I keep in my oats. So that's why it looked like I put a bunch in there. And then I added my peanut butter, applesauce, flaxseed or chia seeds, peanut butter powder, vanilla, and all the rest of my ingredients. And then I just mixed it all up. And then I just used my biggest 3 tablespoon cookie scoop to scoop these cookies out. This recipe made 32 cookies that were this size. And they're a really good, like, hefty size. My kids really, really like these. I like giving them to my kids for snacks or for breakfast. They think it's fun because they're eating a cookie, but I like it because they're not just a treat. I also took a fork and I just mashed them down because they don't spread very much. So I just used a fork, and that's kind of about the size that they ended up being after I cooked them in the oven. So here's what they look like after they came out. These have definitely been a really big hit in my house. Okay, to make these refrigerator brand muffins, you are definitely going to want to have a big bowl with a lid, if you can. Definitely probably use your biggest bowl because this makes a ton of muffins, but the batter can keep in the refrigerator for up to a month. And you can just scoop out and make fresh muffins every week or every couple days or however you want to do it. So I just thought I would include that in the ingredients just because you definitely will want a big bowl. As far as actual ingredients go, you're going to need 4 cups of bran flakes, 2 cups of bran buds, 2 cups of boiling water, which I don't have out here to show you yet. You also will need 4 cups of buttermilk, or you can do equal portions of regular milk with sour cream. So that's what I'm going to do today since I don't have buttermilk on hand. And then you're also going to need a 1/2 cup of melted butter. I just need to melt this. I haven't melted it yet. And then you're also going to need a 1/2 cup of unsweetened applesauce. I'm just using this home canned stuff that I have. And then you're going to need 2 cups of sugar. I am going to use 1 cup of regular sugar. I'm going to sub out 1 cup of the sugar for monk fruit. So I'm going to do 1 cup sugar, 1 cup of monk fruit sweetener, and that will just help not to spike blood sugars quite as much. Okay, you're also going to need 4 eggs, some vanilla, 5 cups of whole wheat flour. I just milled this myself this morning, so this is freshly ground whole wheat, but you can use regular whole wheat. You can also use regular flour as well. Whole wheat just holds up better for the longevity of the batter and just kind of helps the muffins have a better texture. And then you're also going to need 4 teaspoons of baking soda and a teaspoon of salt. While I'm heating up my water in the microwave to get to boiling, I'm going to measure out my 4 cups of bran flakes and my 2 cups of bran buds. This is a 2-cup measure, so there's 2 and there's 4. Here's 2 of the bran buds. Okay, now that my water's boiling, I'm just going to pour it over what's in my bowl. And I'm just going to stir it around. And we're going to let this sit as it cools back down to room temperature. And just every couple of minutes or so, you just need to go around and stir it again, just to try and make sure that all of the bran flakes and the bran buds are getting moisture. And you'll know that it's done when it's to room temperature and it's just a big, like, sticky mess. So I'll show you what it looks like when this is cooled off, and we'll go on to the next steps. Okay, so my bran mixture has cooled to room temperature, and this is kind of how it's looked after I've been mixing it together. So you definitely will need a giant bowl. Okay, so here's how the batter looks now that it's all mixed together. I'm definitely glad I went with my big bowl because it really does fill up most of the bowl. So I'm gonna get these ready in my muffin tin and pop them in the oven, and then I'll show you what they look like when they are done. They're definitely a very hearty muffin, and they will definitely keep you full for a while. You can top this, my favorite way to top it is with butter. It's also really good with honey as well, or you can just eat them plain also. They're not overly sweet, but they do have like a deepness to them that I really, really like. And I'm just using my 3 tablespoon cookie scoop, and that's like the perfect amount to fit into standard size muffin tin. So now I'm just going to pop these in a 375-degree oven for about 15 minutes. And here's what the bran muffins look like fresh out of the oven. Like I mentioned earlier, they're really good with butter or with honey, and they're also plenty good just plain. Here's what you're going to need to make these applesauce breakfast cookies. You're going to need applesauce, coconut oil, salt, an egg, cinnamon, vanilla. You'll also need oats, baking soda, brown sugar, and some whole wheat flour. This is just some flour that I milled myself with my wheat grinder. So here I am putting in, again, my brown sugar, my oats, my whole wheat flour, and my coconut oil. I also added the cinnamon and the vanilla, as well as some baking soda and salt. And my applesauce just slid right out because I had oil previously in that measuring cup, and then I added my egg as well. And then I just mixed those all together until it was nice and combined. And then I just used my 2 tablespoon cookie scoop. No, I used my 1 tablespoon cookie scoop actually to put these cookies together. And then again, just like the other breakfast cookies earlier, I smashed them down with a fork just so that they would cook better. They don't spread much, so this is about the size that they'll be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week with a new video. Bye.